What's going on? It's Jessie Lee. You can call me #BossLee, and I'm really excited to be presenting today at ANCE. I am so honored. Thank you for asking me. I was told, and I'm a little nervous now. I was told a lot of you are excited to hear from me, so no pressure. But I feel very blessed and honored to be on here this morning with you. I know you could be doing anything you want on a Monday. I guess it's evening over there. I love all of our Asian teams. So I love traveling over there, but your time zone differences, wow. But I hope you're having a great evening. I hope you've learned tons. I know you have, because I've seen the speaker lineup, and that's a lot of my really good friends. And so I hope you have incredible notes. I want to jump right in because my time is limited, but it's going to be action packed. So for those of you who don't know me, I am a very high energy trainer, if you have not already figured that out. But there will be lots of tactics and strategies. And one of the things I was actually listening to a podcast this morning about, and so I'm going to speak on that while I train you on being able to have diversity. But that's not what I'm training on. I want to talk about that, but I'm going to train on building a business in times of the pandemic and maybe even just adaptability in your business. But I was listening to a podcast this morning, and they were talking about diversity and the importance of getting around people that stretch your comfort zone and getting around people that you don't usually listen from, and listening to different perspectives and opinions that you don't usually listen to. And so maybe I'm a fresh face for you. You have no idea who I am. Maybe you're, I don't know, women networkers aren't usually your cup of tea. I don't know. But I would encourage you to continue to plug into ANCE this weekend, because I truly believe that one of the biggest reasons why I've had so much success, not only in general, but in particular during the pandemic, and I'll tell you about some results I've had, I do believe is because I don't surround myself with people that look like me, talk like me, walk like me, any of these things. I don't talk to people that have the same kind of businesses as me. I don't talk to people that have the same kind of social media presence as me. I like to diversify myself. And so that actually is probably tip number one. And so if you didn't write that down. And maybe a directive for that would be, have a conversation today with somebody you wouldn't usually have a conversation with. Have a conversation with somebody that you're like, we are just not alike. Because quite frankly, the network marketing space, there's hundreds of millions of us doing this, but we have so much diversity around each other. I think it's very important that we get to know each other's hearts and we get to learn from each other. So the pandemic. Wow. Okay. So I remember in February, how many of you remember, maybe you have a chat box you can comment in, how many of you remember when it was just a conversation that maybe we would be trapped at home? Does anybody remember that? Because I remember when I was like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Like, this was me. Okay. And then I sort of slowly started to notice, oh, maybe it's true. Maybe we're going to be stuck home in the pandemic. And I made a quick pivot. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I did, because when the pandemic began, our business was doing right around $4 million a month in sales, which is amazing, incredible. Oh my gosh. We now are doing over 7 million, and we are now open in 27 countries. So our expansion has been crazy. And I do believe, I'm sure someone said this, but the speed of the team is the speed of the leader. So please write that down. The speed of the team is the speed of the leader. So as soon as it started to become obvious that I wasn't going to be able to train the way I usually do, which is I tour. I spend a month at a time in Asia or in Europe or in Australia or on a United States tour or whatever. I realized that was not going to happen. And I thought to myself, okay, we pivot. And the best people in time of whatever you want to call it, crisis, you want to call it a pandemic, you want to call it unfortunate situations, anything. I'm not just talking about COVID-19 right now. The best and strongest people are the people who lead through it. The people who say, okay, where's the opportunity? The people who don't just stay in the past and say, well, this is what always worked, so this is what I'm always going to do. And so instantly write this down. This is what I started to do. Couple of things. Bop, 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 bop. And some of you may already follow me, so you're going to sit there and nod your heads like she's not lying. I decided first and foremost, I have a very successful network marketing, business podcast. And I went, okay, I'm currently uploading an episode once a week. I'm going to upload an episode every day. And so I'm pretty sure today's the 215th episode now. Every single day I put out a high level training podcast, like crazy. It's ranked on 5 continents now. It was not at the beginning of the pandemic. Every day I go live on Instagram and Facebook. Every day I post on Instagram and Facebook. Every day I TikTok, YouTube every day. What else do I do every day? Everything. I'm like a disease on social media. Okay, I'm everywhere. I'm spreading myself everywhere because right now, if you want to build a business, understand the number one Googled search is how to make money from home. And my job and your job as networkers are to find people who want to build a business from home. Lucky you, it's a lot of people, okay? So I spread myself crazy. Now, I also started doing a lot more calls. I started doing a lot more coaching calls. I started doing a lot more opportunities. I started asking people if they needed help that were outside of my personal company, right? I started to give, because what you give, you have forever. If you haven't already heard that or written that down, my God, write it down. What you give, you have forever. And whatever you have scarcity around, my friends, I encourage you to give it away. It's a universal law of the universe. If you're a believer like myself, like it's a law of God, okay? It's just the way it works. So if you're feeling scarce maybe around money, I know this sounds really crazy and hard sometimes because you're like, there's no way this lady's being crazy. Give it away. Give it away. Maybe it's buying your team gifts, which we're going to get into in a second. Maybe it's you spend money to go to a virtual event that you usually wouldn't go to. You have to give it away to receive. Give it away to receive. Give it away to receive. I say that because it's not just money. For me, it's time. And I've noticed that a lot of the time, for many of us, we go, oh my gosh, I don't have time for that. Instead of saying, I don't have time for that, I want you to flip the verbiage and maybe say, that's not a priority. Because every single person on planet Earth has the same 24 hours in a day. Where are you prioritizing your time? So for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I just don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this, which is like curse words. Take them off your tongue. And I said, no, Jessie Lee, you do have time for this. You need to give it away. So an example, it's early morning where I live. I went, of course. There was no second guessing. When ANCE reached out and said, would you like to be a keynote speaker? I went, oh my gosh, I'd be so honored. Of course, I'll figure out how to, on the last day of the month, when we're closing the month, I'll figure it out. Absolutely. So for some of you, it's give away your time. Where are the resources you need to give away? And that in the time of where my mindset could have taken over, I could have gone super negative like a lot of people did during the pandemic. I went, no, we're going to stay super positive. We're going to come from a place of giving. I'm going to show up from a place of gratitude. And so that made a big difference. Now, in general, if you want to get through this and crush it, I want you to have a clearer vision. Something that leaders are insanely good at is seeing the future. I met this man in Italy and he said to me, oh, Jessie Lee, you don't live in the present. Okay. I live day by day, which is like really unhealthy. You shouldn't do that. Okay. I live day by day. You live like way in the future. I don't know what that voice is. That's not Italian at all. I'm sorry. Okay. That can't even, I don't know. Anyway, I'm like, yeah, I do. And if you want to have a business that explodes, whether it's today, tomorrow, next month, next year, next decade, you have to see things as you want them to be before they ever are that. And that can be so weird to say. I think some of you are probably listening to me right now going, what? I have to be like a crazy witch? No. You don't have to be like a crazy witch, but you need to know where you're going. Because otherwise, I call this setting the GPS. Otherwise, you haven't set your GPS. You don't know where you are trying to go. Where's the destination? That's like if you get in your car and you know you want to make it to the beach, but you don't put anything in the GPS, like the global positioning thing, like go this way, turn left, okay? You put nothing in there. What are you just going to do? Drive? Pray? Like, I hope I get where I want to go. No, you're going to end up in a mountain. You're going to end up in a ditch. You're going to end up in some little podunk town. I don't know where you're going to end up, but it's probably not the beach. Like, it's not a good idea to get in the car and go, I'm just going to drive. Someday I'm going to reach water. Maybe not. Okay. So if you want to take this business to the next level, especially as we are adapting in a time that is very different from how many of us have built our businesses. I've been in the entrepreneurial space for 9 years. So there's a lot of pivots. You're going to have to set the vision, set the intention, and adapt. So the next thing that I think changed everything for me was I made sure that not only do I have strong leadership, which I know if you're on here, you're a strong leader, okay? Yes, you need to have strong leadership, but more importantly, and write this down because it'll be different for all of you, have strong leadership and display strong leadership. So what does that look like for you? I don't know. Take some notes down. And here's something that I always tell people. Be the leader that you would want. So be the sponsor that you want. Do you want a sponsor who calls you? Then you need to call people. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Be the sponsor that calls people. Do you want a sponsor that gives gifts? Then be a sponsor that gives gifts. Do you want a sponsor that does virtual Zoom trainings all the time? Then do that. Something our team does, hope you're taking notes, something our team does is we have power hours throughout the day because our team's called the Empire, and we're very, very much so a global team. And one thing we say is the sun never sets on the Empire because every single time zone on planet Earth, somebody is up and working. Every single time zone, somebody is building their business. And so throughout the day, like right now, there's actually an American power hour rolling because it started at 8:30 Central. So people are being told exactly what business tasks to do. That was a pandemic pivot. I like that. Write that down. These are pandemic pivots. That's what this keynote is called. Jessie Lee's pandemic pivots. Okay, I like it. Ha! All right, so I'm like half comedian for those of you who are new to me, so welcome to the show. Okay, but I'm just telling you the pandemic pivot was, okay, 8:30 a.m. and then we've got to do one for Europe, and then, or Europe has already done theirs. I guess we're going this direction, right? So around the clock, there are 6 power hours throughout the day where people come together and they work together. That's a huge pandemic pivot because we can't do meetups. We can't go to coffee shops. We can't go hang out with our local team members. We can't go to Starbucks. We can't do these normal things. So the pandemic pivot was we're going to get on a power hour and I'm going to say, all right, everybody get your phone out. We're going to send 5 messages and go. All right, everybody, now next task. We've got 10 minutes. Go take a selfie. Here's the kind of post you're going to make. Go. Okay, guys, next thing, we're going to follow up. You get the point. Pandemic pivot. I'm really loving that. I'm inspired. Okay. Over and over and over again was to tell people what to do. We do that around the clock. So don't just say I'm a strong leader. I want you to display that. I want you to show people how you're a strong leader. Are you somebody who maybe it's a health and wellness company? Are you taking your products seriously right now? I will tell you, I went from like, I was still pretty cute, okay, to like, wow, during the pandemic. Like I was very strict with my diet. I was very strict with my exercise. I made sure I took my products very visibly, write that down, very visibly use your products. It's a pandemic pivot. Okay. I made sure that I put myself out there consistently and showed people and used myself as one of the strongest before and better photos in our entire company, certainly our entire team. And for me, that's very important because that's a display of strong leadership. I will never ask you to do something that I myself won't do. Write that down. Are you asking your team to do things that you yourself are not showing up and doing? Don't just say you're a strong leader. In a time of a pandemic, people really want to see you lead. They really want to see you show up because a lot of people are struggling with mental health. And if they see you being positive, if they see you showing up, if they see you participating, if they see you being the example, it changes everything for them. Now, some of you have probably heard of IQ, right? Intelligence quotient. Some of you have maybe heard of EQ, which is emotional intelligence. My IQ is not that good. I'm just kidding. Okay, emotional quotient, and then AQ, which is adaptability quotient. And in a time of a pandemic, these are very important. IQ never matters in networking. Okay, I don't really care what anyone says. I don't care what your do you do SATs? I don't really know. I don't care what your little bubble box test is. I don't care what any of those things are. I don't care if you flunked out of college, high school, middle school, whatever. Okay. It's literally irrelevant to me. Okay. Intelligence doesn't matter. Here's what does matter. Number one, emotional intelligence. I saw all over social media some people, as soon as stuff started to get a little crazy around the world, which we can all admit it got pretty crazy for a while there, they went down the rabbit hole of crazy person. Like, they're not crazy people. They started going crazy. Now, I want you to think about your business. I want you to think about how your team looks. If their leader is freaking out all over social media, if their leader is, the world is ending, the sky is falling, like, your team is going to be like, oh gosh, I don't even think I can talk to her because she is really out there. She's not calm. Something one of the leaders on our team says is she says, Jessie Lee, you're like the eye of the storm. All this crazy stuff can be happening to you personally, professionally, whatever. And you're kind of like, it's all good. It's gonna pass. It's fine. That's emotional intelligence. And it's so important as we lead through this time. And then adaptability quotient. Did you get hit with stuff? Like, let's talk about it. And nearly every company in network marketing is right at the tipping point of momentum, which means you probably have back orders, which means your customer service is probably garbage right now, which means your CEO is so stressed out right now. Your owners are freaking out right now. The whole field is back orders, whatever. Are you the leader in a pandemic where you make the pandemic pivot to say, hey, I'm flexible. Hey, kind of stinks, 8-week back order. It's okay. Oh, geez, credit cards aren't working right. Wow. Ooh, shipping time's not great. It's okay. Ooh, customer service is bad. How can I service my customer? Write that down. In the time of a pandemic, what a pandemic pivot should be is maybe you don't rely 100% of the time on your corporate office. Maybe you be the leader. Maybe you adapt to the situation. I kind of mentioned this with power hours, but one of the most important things I did as I throw my last few points in here, because I want to respect everyone's time, train, overtrain. No such thing as overtraining. Write it down. When you feel like you've said something too many times, when you feel like you've explained your system too many times, when you feel like everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry already knows everything about everything, that's when you, oh gosh, you say it again. You double down, you triple down, you go again. For me, I'm like, oh, let me tell you again about the onboarding system. Let me tell you again about ad tag message. Let me tell you again about this system, that system. Oh, hi, hello. This is me. I'm like a robot. I keep repeating myself. But let me tell you something. The best trained teams in network marketing are the most successful teams. So what can you do? We just put on a team event that ended yesterday with 31,967 attendees. Why? Because they need to be trained. We're not in person. We have to train our people. And then my final point is communicate. And this is the same thing, the same kind of energy as I mentioned with training. When you think you've communicated enough, say it again. Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. If you want to bring your partner home, if you want to bring yourself home during the pandemic, then you got to say it again. You have to declare it, because you need to declare it in your mind. You need to believe it in your mind. You need to see it in your mind. You need to feel it in your heart, and all your dreams can come true. So I love you all. I appreciate you all, which I know is so weird for some of you because you're like, you literally don't know me. Why do you love me? Look, I can love you for no reason because there are people on this earth that hate people for no reason. So I will love you for no reason. And as we get to know each other, we can have a million reasons to love one another. My name is Jessie Lee Ward. God bless every single one of you. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, event, and I hope that this helps you through the rest of the pandemic. God bless y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for having me, Nancy.
All right, Miss Jessie, that was really a very energy-filled session. So so our listeners actually have some questions for you now.
Awesome.
Okay, so here's the first one. It says, I am one of your fans from Asia. So one question all my prospects ask me, I can join your business, but how will you help me grow? So how can I help and what tips can you give me to help almost all my downlines?
So first of all, thank you. I appreciate you so much. I'm an emotional woman, so I will probably cry. So thank you. Touch my heart. So how will you help me grow? I'm going to steal one thing from Lisa Grossman, which I love. And second thing is I'll just give you a Jessie Lee perspective. The first thing is that Lisa Grossman always says is, I will help you build your business. So that sixth word is really important. So I will help you build your business. It's not, I will help you build your business for you. And so the first question really is, I would say that back to people is, oh, I'll help you build your business, but I need you to show up. The other thing is find out people's goals. This is really important to me, is I like to hold people accountable. So if somebody joins the team, it's not what you tell me you want to do. It's why don't you show me what you're going to do, and I'll match your energy. I like to tell people I match their hatch. So if you're showing up on every training, you're going to get poured into. If you're telling me you want to make $1,000 a month, then I'm going to match that energy based off of where you come into play. And then what I would do is I would ask them a question back. So if their question is, how will you help me grow? I would simply ask them, something like, in what capacity do you want to grow? Or which ways do you need me to help you? Or which ways do you prefer to be coached? Or how do you like to be communicated to? As an example, something I see a lot of the time is people ask me a lot of the time, or people ask me, people don't respond to me. My team's not responding to me. And I say, well, did you find out how they like to be communicated with? Everybody should be writing this down. Because just because I like text messages, you might be a phone call person. Just because I like Instagram DMs, you might like Facebook. Just because I like phone calls, you might be an email person. And so I find that you can lead people a lot if you do that last tip I gave, which is communicate and over communicate. Ask clarifying questions instead of assuming we know the answers to everything. So that would be my answer to that.
All right, great. And then another question here. Since you built a big team, how do you manage this very big team and talk to all your team leaders and distributors?
Okay. I'm taking the notes down. Okay, so how do I manage the team? So I am a systems girl through and through. So a lot of different things. Of course, we have your typical Facebook groups, whatever. I am a Zoom, I'll give you a couple things I do. So first of all, we have a rank that is, they're called champs. It's 30,000 points in volume a month. So about $50,000 in sales a month. And at that position, they are invited to a weekly high level leadership Zoom call with me. So that has like 90% attendance of that rank. It's a really highly attended call. So that's one of the first things I do. Second thing I do is I guess you kind of call it a mastermind, but they're not really masterminding. I select what I consider rising leaders, and we do a special hand selected Zoom call for that group as well every Thursday. I do frontline Zooms because I'm a monster personal recruiter. So I've enrolled 2,200 personal people. So I have frontline Zooms once a week where everybody that I personally recruit is also involved. Something I do is I ask those car earners, this is a big one, write this down. I ask those leaders for names of people that need to be recognized, whether they did something good, something they're upset about, something going on in their personal life, whatever. So, and I tell them to send me their names with their phone numbers. So I send texts all the time to people, and then I get to know those rising leaders more and more and more before they ever actually get into a leadership position. I'm a big fan of Google Forms and Google Documents. So something I have as an example is I have an Excel or I guess it's a Google form where I've collected everybody's information. So I have a ton of data. And one of the things on there is everybody's Amazon wish list. So let's say you have an amazing month and I want to recognize you, even if we don't have that personal relationship yet. I love it. I get to go on there, buy some gifts, send them random gifts. I'm a big fan of that. And then really, I think it's important to, just because the word you used was manage. I don't want to manage people. I don't want to be their boss, which I know was kind of funny because my nickname is Boss Lee, but it's more like, I think in 2020, this is a relationship conversation. And so it's more like, I just make sure I'm sending a lot of messages every day to our leaders, and not just, write this down, not just having conversations with the people I'm comfortable with. And that's what I see a lot is people get comfortable with the same 6 or 7 leaders, and those are the only people they talk to. Get uncomfortable and talk to the people that maybe you don't usually speak to, because I think that solidifies the entire organization, and everybody's diverse. Remember the opening of my training, everybody's diversity is what makes the team great. So I hope that helps some.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Ms. Jessie. And we hope that next year we can have a physical event and you could come over to Asia and join us for the next Asian Networkers Convention and Expo.
I would love to. I love Asia so much.
All right. Thank you
so
so
much for having
much.
me. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.